because it is not a Venezuelan issue. It is a systemical issue of the fiat current system that we are living through. So it could happen in any other country in the world, even in the US. So as a citizens, we are really tiny against the state, against the politicians and all this stuff. But if you find a group of tiny citizens that have similar ideas, you can build something that it it doesn't have to rely on those big games and all the stuff. So
The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness, 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 You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Venture, 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 venture.
Do this. There you go. That'll tell you. All right. Start over that. Javi,
Okay.
welcome to One Love Bitcoin, my brethren. It's good to
well,
have you.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Brett, and finally doing this.
Yes, we're finally doing this. I've been looking forward to it. Like I was saying before, I just messed up the recording, so we'll start over. But tell the people who you are, where you're from, and your Bitcoin story in Venezuela.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for having me again. And well, my name is Javier. I was a crypto journalist back in the day in 2017 when I discovered these technologies or started to be engaged with them. And I was like writing news and writing articles, making interviews with cryptonoticias.com. That is a well-known website here in the Spanish-speaking community. And also I was a writer with Cointelegraph en Español, that is the Spanish version of Cointelegraph. And as you can see, it was all very focused on crypto, not especially in Bitcoin in my early days. So I became more Bitcoin focused and interested because, as Dred said, I'm in Venezuela. I'm living in Caracas. I'm from Caracas and living here since ever. And the economy struggle that we are facing, that seeing people in that days like eating for the garbage and people starving, stuff like that, and even close people that was having really bad time during those years. So it wasn't that interesting to me to see what are the potentials of the technology in abstract, like the blockchain and all the blah 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 around that, but how Bitcoin could be useful and how it was being really useful already in that time. So I started to learn more about it and trying to use it and even earning my wage through Bitcoin. So it was really a game changer to me because I was earning bolivars and when the inflation started to be really hard here, I didn't have a way to avoid the inflation of the bolivar because I don't have a dollar account, I don't have any American bank account or stuff like that. So Bitcoin was the solution to that lack of banking services here. And I'm not in the poorest position of the country. I mean, I'm not in struggling with food or stuff like that. But even in a better position in a financial way, you are excluded from services and stuff like that. So that's why it seems that important to me that Bitcoin is the thing. Like, maybe I lost 2 years just learning about the industry, about how the blockchain could decentralize, and that in 2017 those were really, really big narrative. But as far as I needed the technology, as far as I need to solve problems, it was Bitcoin, not the cheat coins and the gains and all the stuff. So maybe that's why I'm a maximalist right now. I don't really like the name because it started as a slang, as a way to dismiss our position. I'm just choosing Bitcoin as a rational person. Like, my background is in philosophy. I'm not a crazy guy or stuff like that. So it was a really rational decision to focus on Bitcoin because I was struggling as a person here in Venezuela. It is not that good. Everybody will tell you, if you ask a Venezuelan about the 2016, 2017 years, 2018 even, those were really hard times here for everybody. And in those hard times was the solution, at least for me, was Bitcoin. So in 2019, I started a project that is named Satoshi in Venezuela, that is Bitcoin only focused educational product. So we started doing meetups in 2019. There wasn't the hysteria around the virus and all the stuff, but we did like 11 or 12 meetups in 3 months in Caracas, in Maracay, in Valencia, in Barquisimeto, in Yaracuy. Those are cities or places in Venezuela, not only in the capital. I'm living in the capital, but there was another really popular narrative back then, like Venezuela is being saved by Bitcoin or crypto will save Venezuela. There were a lot of cheat coins, like trying to eat the inflation. Yes, and try to partake like they was really used here and stuff like that. And those were all lies, but I wanted to see it by myself. So what I found when I traveled around those cities, not around all the country, but at least those cities that are in the center of the country, is that anybody's really looking on the freedom or the privacy or any of the things that we can name that are key points from Bitcoin, but struggling to have food, simply like that. Yeah. Like, you can get through the deep conversation and abstractions of what Bitcoin could lead us to if you can have your food, So it was really like taking a check on the reality. Like, it was, okay, maybe I'm trying to do something that won't be useful And with those doubts, the pandemic started, so I can do the activities. I almost closed the project, like it is unsustainable. I will just work with people and stuff. But then we started to try to recreate this experience that you have in the meetups, like doing this through Zoom calls that wasn't that popular in 2019, and it really helped us a lot. So we launched these kind of seminars with specialists, because everybody was locked down. So I can connect with people around the world. One of our earliest guests was Lee Quinn. She's a reporter for CoinDesk.
Okay.
And also we had the guy from Bitcoin Nueva York. I don't remember his name. Nick Spanos. He's a OG Bitcoiner, and those were people that we could reach because of this lockdown and everybody trying to connect and all the stuff. So after that, people that was in those experience started to say, hey, but why you don't upload those conversations in somewhere that we can see them and stuff. And when you open a Gmail account, you automatically have a YouTube channel. So the Satoshi in Venezuela YouTube channel wasn't that active at all, but I started to upload this conversation, and that became a podcast. And it was really great to see how other people want to know what is happening here, even though they may fall of the false narrative around the adoption and all that. They are really interested, at least Bitcoiners around the world, to hear what is happening here. I have the opportunity to meet Peter McCormack when he was here. I was in his podcast too, and all the stuff, trying to show that other face that maybe is ugly, because it is awful to live through the fiat inflation and live through a hyperinflationary cycle, but it is also a kind of optimistic relief to hear people that, as me, have histories to share about how Bitcoin could change your life, or could be useful to change the opportunities or the lack of opportunities you have here. And that's I think that today that's the motto of the project. Now we can do the activities again. The podcast is still running, so we have a stronger project right now. We also have a daily recap of news that is named El Beat, like the beat.
Nice.
That is 5 minutes. Yes, it is 5 minutes. It is hosted by Elena Casa, that is also part of Satoshi in Venezuela team. And today we are like 5 people that are directly involved on the project. At the start, it was only me. So you see that it is growing slowly, but we are like trying to show people how useful could this technology be for them. Not like you have to learn, because it is like for I don't know, like life or death choice, but because it is useful in this context. So we celebrate the Pizza Day a few days ago, and it was like the twice of the people that we had in the first meetup that we made in 2019. So the interest is there, the people is there, the community is trying to connect, and we are trying to be the bridge between the people. That said, but we are focused in Bitcoin, so the bridge through the communities that are like related or want to be related to Bitcoin in some way.
Yeah. Wow, that my brain is exploding with like a million different questions, but I want to start with the the hyperinflationary event that happened between 2016, 17, 18, or maybe even started before that. But a lot of people, even me, think about what that might have been like and the chaos that might have been ensuing when certain social norms broke, you know, when there was no food on the shelves in the supermarkets, when you realized that your dollars couldn't purchase gas or, you know, what you, well, maybe not in gas in Venezuela, but food, like what you need. How is it realistically, how is it on the ground there in terms of, you know, you living in Caracas and then tomorrow your friends calling you for help, or, you know, your family not having something that they needed? Like, what is the real feeling that you get living through that?
No, it is really awful because, like, I had a friend, like, he called me one day, like, he doesn't have anything to eat. Mm. And it is really hard to help people in those situations because you are not living it.
So sorry, bro.
But he's okay right now. He's living in Colombia.
That's good.
But it was really awful because I'm not living that disaster. I'm not the one that is facing those problems, but it's really awful to see people eating for the garbage and all the stuff. It is awful. And like not having the way to help your friends or family, it is awful. So and I mean, I'm not the one that is in the worst position here, but it was really disturbing times, like not having things in the places that you are used to go to buy them, and have to do lines to buy bread. And I was like younger. I'm 30 right now. I'm turning 31 in 5 days.
Nice.
But I was like studying in the university and doesn't understand why that happened. And now that I'm kind of understand that are the politicians and those decisions that they make that make your life so miserable, it's worst because I didn't choose them to be the ones in power. So it's awful. It's awful. I think that all people have different touching histories about those times, and maybe that's why we feel this kind of relief today, because the dollarization, that de facto dollarization of our economy is carrying a lot of good to the market, to the places, and all the stuff here. Like the Chavismo is holding the power stronger than ever, and we are not
because of the support of the US dollar, right?
Yes, and we're not going to have any political change and any stuff like that, but at least we can live through the disaster, and there are a lot of more people that could go to the dollar or to other options. My option was Bitcoin, and I'm more than up than the people that is choosing the dollar. But at least if you can jump to another monetary system that is not collapsing, that is not forcing you to spend your life like earning sand.
Yeah.
So it is really awful to see those kind of things and remember them, and like trying to explain them today is really strange, because I'm realizing how miserable the the things around were, and how difficult it was, and at least we are like seeing this relief through the dollarization, but it is not enough. It is not enough. We are not free people yet, and that's why I think that Bitcoin is important, because even if you don't have the means to accumulate, to stack sats and all the stuff that people tells, that's not sustainable here. I cannot hold forever and stuff. I have to eat and stuff. But even in that position, Bitcoin brings to the table the conversation about freedom. And that's the key thing that I find useful, even if they don't have the means to buy Bitcoin and start a plan to accumulate and stuff like that. You are bringing the freedom ideas to the conversation through Bitcoin, and it is a good way to rebuild the social breach between the people, because we are minimized as a politician movement, and there are no ways to change, but at least in the tiny communities that you can build that could escalate or could be replicated in other places of the country,
Yeah.
you are bringing again this kind of hope that is that is, it's weird to say, but yes, those times were really bad. But well, the dollarization is fixing some things.
Yeah. I am sorry that all that had to happen for people to start trying to realize what's because we weren't taught that, right? In school, no one really understood what inflation was or how bad it could get. A question I have for you around the localization of these different areas, like the different outside of Caracas. You know, you go to a meetup, you meet people who are probably in even worse position than you. This has happened to me in Jamaica as well, and their time preference is different by necessity. They don't really want to know, you know, what this technology can do. They don't really want to know that, oh, if I switch to this sound or money, then the inflation rate will not affect me because I will have. They don't care. They really just want to know, how can I get something in my fridge for my family today? You know, I don't want to know about your your long-term plans and your you know, curve and your supply demand. I don't give a shit. How do you talk to that segment of society? How do you tell that group, that community, that that this still does help them too, when the sound of you know, what I need now is so loud?
I think that that's really hard to do. I never did do that by myself. Like I'm always trying to talk to people that I know that at least have the basic things covered, because it is really disrespectful and also out of touch to talk to people abstract concepts and things that could help to fulfill their necessities in a better way, but they will not even care about what you are talking, because the necessities are tangible things that are happening every day, not abstractions and things that could be solved by through the hyper Bitcoinization or through the stock to flow, blah blah. Any of those things, I think that works, and I'm in the camp that I'm not see Bitcoin being that useful to the poorest of the people of the world, like not from them personally, like being those that hold the coins, and not in that way. Maybe the adoption of Bitcoin could, like, for a disseminational effect, affect those kind of stratum of the people, but I don't think that it solves the poverty. It can solve the inequity in the world. Maybe make it more more truth. Like I don't really know, but it's hard to connect a conversation with people that even doesn't have internet connection. Like how do you talk about something that is internet native to people that has never ever touched the internet connection? Because we have those kind of poverty and profiles of poverty here in Venezuela. So we are living in a time where inequity is really high, and at least there are a bunch of people that has the minimum means to start to learn about Bitcoin. But again, it's not that Bitcoin will solve the disparity and all the stuff. It's hard to say it, but they will be living in this same model, probably choosing it against the freedom that Bitcoin could lead to, or stuff like that. And it's hard to go through another stage of abstraction of the world and the values of the world and all the things that we know that Bitcoin gave you, if you are attached to your daily necessities. And as you said, like, I need the food in my fridge, so I don't give a fuck if you have this freedom tool.
Yeah. What would be the one, like, I guess the simplest message you can give to a community or a person? Because I can think of many people that I know in Jamaica that are in the same position where, you know, they either don't have internet access where they are, or, you know, even if they have a smartphone, the smartphone probably does not have data because the data plan is too expensive. What could you tell somebody that would at least put them on the right track, you know, whether it's through, you know, them learning for future opportunities or them just changing their mind about what their current education is, because it's usually wrong? You know, what's the one message you could give them?
It could be like this idea that you can earn this kind of money, even if it is volatile and all the stuff. You can earn through your work this kind of stuff, and being connected and could understand better all that after that. Or you can start learning, and then if the decision makes sense, start earning. So it should depend on which is the person, what are his or her necessities. So I think that is, or start learning or start earning. If you have enough means to, you can be a community manager, you can use Twitter accounts and all that kind of stuff. And that could be a starter way to go through a path of work in the Bitcoin industry, and could be an interesting way to start to engage with the Bitcoin learning. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you understand why Bitcoin is volatile against the dollar and that's kind of stuff, you see that earning that in the long term will be useful. So if you can have those those learnings, so find a job or learn about the technology through your normal life. You don't have to become a Bitcoin 100 of your time devoted to Bitcoin or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's two good points, learning and earning. I like the earning part a lot too, because if you think about it, it can transcend the barriers that we talk about in terms of needing to know how to use Bitcoin or needing internet access or needing, because like if you're lifeguard on a beach, or you're cleaning up an area for the community, or you're, doing a renovation, whatever you're doing, you can earn and somebody can pay you. It could even be someone outside of the country that could pay you without you needing internet, without you even needing a wallet. You could need nothing. They could just put it in a custodial account for you until you're able to get it yourself. And I think that I could see that working for people who don't even understand Bitcoin, but they do understand that they can now have a job and get paid by someone who couldn't previously pay them because that person wasn't able to access their Venezuelan account or their Jamaican account or whatever. There are a lot of capital controls, as you know, going in and out of these countries, and a lot of laws and rules that prevent people from being able to even charitably donate to funds outside of the country. So I really do like the fact that earning and getting paid in Bitcoin can leapfrog a lot of the barriers that the lowest of us have right now.
But I also think that it isn't the message that the people want to hear. They just want to hear how they can earn or win money, magically win with any other thing that is not Bitcoin, because I think that they see this market and industry, I don't know, like if it is a lottery, a lotto ticket, something like that. So it's hard to fight with that kind of mindset. As you said early, like the time preference is not the same. So it's hard to explain this kind of concepts to people that is not used to saving, that have not means to save money, that have no means to see in the future how important it is to save and build stuff with this lower time preference. But those are the ideas that we need to bring to the table, even if Bitcoin is not the vehicle to this, to the materialization of the empowerment and the transformation of the people that started to understand this. But at least they started to understand these ideas, like lower your time preference, like try to build your savings. Like those are things that will last even if they're not choosing Bitcoin. I really don't know how to connect with them. That's why I'm just more focused here in Caracas. I have to say that, like, I don't see that it is useful, and it is really expensive to travel around Venezuela. So I'm just focusing here in Caracas because it could have more impact, and as the community is more active here in the city, it will have more impact through the network of people.
Yeah, tell me more about Caracas, and I guess Venezuela in general. You said you traveled around a bit and saw different parts of the country. And I always like to hear about the different beautiful parts, maybe the not so beautiful parts, just the character of a country. But you can start with Caracas. Like, what is it like there? You know, what are the meetups like? What are the people like?
Caracas es Caracas, diría. We used to say that, like, Caracas es Caracas, like Caracas is Caracas. It is the capital. It is the center of everything that happens here. Like, we are not living the same disaster that the people is living in the inside country, because one of the strategies of the regime is to have us happy and to keep the power.
I guess the closer you are to the capital, the happier they want to keep you, so you don't disrupt the power.
One of the things that we should have in mind in all the context of this conversation is that we are living through a non-democratical regime, that we are facing the new Cuba building in our eyes. Like, we are like almost 25 years of the same process political process going through the country. So it have it have fucked already the country a lot. So
Yeah.
Caracas is a really good city. Besides everything, it is a really good city, and you have this. Uh, I think that this kind of a conflict of the aesthetic of the city, because you have modern like 90s, late 90s architecture, and it's like we stopped it in the time because of the Chavismo, obviously, and now you have these like retro. It's really weird, because it seems like if you are living in a 90s rap videos in some places of the city, but it have a really good climate. We have really nice and fresh climate. We have the mountain like El Avila. It's the
What is it called? El Avila?
El Avila.
El Avila.
It is the fetish of every Caraqueño, every Caracas citizen here. We all love the mountain, and in general, it is a really good place to live. I hope to live in in a more freedom related kind of city, but it is good. I really love Caracas. Like, it have a shitty river, a river that is full of shit from the city.
Like literal shit? Like,
crossing, yes,
Oh.
it is crossing all the city. It is awful.
oh man.
But it's like the different things that you can find in Caracas, and we have a lot of slums, a lot of ghettos. We have a lot of marginal zones. It is a mixture of everything that you will see in the rest of the country, because even there are rural parts even inside of the city. It's really a big experience. I'm not that bullish on recommending people to come here, but if you want to come, it is not that dangerous as it was in the last years, because Venezuela is like having a good relief, as I said, because of the polarization.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of other beautiful places in Venezuela. If I'm not a Caracas maximalist, I probably will be a Mérida maximalist. Mérida is in Los Andes. We in Venezuela share Los Andes mountain system with all the Andinos countries, with Colombia, Chile. Every different country has their Andes, and in that region there is Mérida, that is a mainly mountain state, and it is colder, and it is more beautiful in a natural perspective way than Caracas. It is also the house of one of the biggest university here in the country. Like, the capital of that state is almost the university in different parts of the city.
Okay.
And it have a lot of different touristic places inside of the mountains, different magical villages. Like, they live like 100 people in a village, something like that.
Wow.
There are really good places there in Mérida. We also have in the south one of the oldest places in the earth, like the Tepuis in Bolivar, at southern Venezuela. We have those really big, almost like buildings for rock. They are really ancient, and that region is really rich in minerals and stuff. And we, as the oil prices were declining and the regime have to find ways to to rebuild their own wallet. They started to mine gold in places that they are simply destroying yes. They have something that is named El Arco Minero, that is a mining operation, a really big mining operation in Guayana, in this place where that I'm describing, that is almost attempting to those beautiful places that I'm just mentioning, the Tepuis, Canaima, all the stuff. And we also have the central region that I described. They are not that big as Caracas, but work similarly, more related to the capital of the state and all that happen inside of those states, and they are really rural outside of the capital. And we have a really good island in the Caribe that is named Nueva Esparta, or La Perla del Caribe, that is in our good times, it was a really touristic point in the Caribbean. Maybe not as Bahamas or all of the tiny Caribbean island, but it was really popular back in the day. And we have every different natural thing that you will find in all different places in the world. We have like the little short version here in Venezuela with all the different climates. We also have a kind of little desert that is in the west of the country, in Falcon. So in general, Venezuela is a really good touristic destination, but our touristic industry is horrible. So I'm not recommending people to come here. If you are used to a high level tourist, like you want, I don't know, Wi-Fi in your...
Yeah, you're like an eco-tourist, you don't care about all that stuff. You have your backpack and you can just go in the wilderness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you don't know Spanish, it is preferably that you travel with a Venezuelan, not alone, because it's still being really dangerous to people that is not from here, because the people will tend to think that you have a lot of money, even if you are just like looking what is happening in the country. They will think that you have a lot of money. So in general, it's good if you have if you want to come. I could be your handyman, but if you don't know anybody here, I don't recommend you to come to Venezuela, because it is dangerous. It could be really an awful experience. So
yeah, it sounds, man, we so much connecting in terms of the stories you told me about the different parts of Venezuela and Kingston and Jamaica. It's up to maybe 5-10 years ago, people would have said the same thing. Like, don't come if you don't know a Jamaican, especially not to Kingston, because, you know, the different areas, the different slums, and they'll look at you as a tourist. Automatically, you have money because you're a tourist. A couple questions. There's so many different places. You have a mountain, you have the islands, you have the desert. It's like a whole world down there in Venezuela. Are the mountains where I'm guessing that's where all the coffee and different things are grown, the natural from the ground? Do the people that live there, the villages and the natives that live there, do you see a more sense of freedom from them, or a more sense of liberty, where they don't really care as much about what the regime thinks or what it's doing, because they are, I guess, in a sense, more self-reliant on, you know, like they grow their own food, they have their own local farmers, or, you know, stuff like that, as opposed to being reliant on the government? Or is it kind of across the board, everyone feels the same oppression?
I think that they are more free than we in the city, of course, but they are they have a lot of more problems that relies on the regime decisions on what is good to or where is good to deploy money to maintain the people happy. Because if you are in the, I don't know, like let's say in the Los Pueblos del Sur in Mérida, like it's a really far region inside of Mérida, and you have like 72 hours without electricity. Even if you can grow your food and all the stuff, you are relying to the government to come and fix these kind of things.
Yeah.
And they are too far of what where the centers of power are. So it's hard to be in those kind of places, even when you can find some kind of relief from working through your own means and growing your own food and all that. You always depends on the government infrastructure, the electricity facilities, and the gas to cook your food. And there are a lot of limitations because the focus that the regime is having in the central zone of the country. And I think that they also feel like more abandoned than what we are hearing in the city, and maybe that make them feel like they don't like Caracas people.
Yeah,
because they almost blame us.
Yeah,
and that's
associate you with the regime. Yep.
And that's a decision that is made purposely. It is not a side effect, not at all. All these different things that shows how bad the situation is here in Venezuela, like this social separation, are things that are really are things that are rationally made, that are part of a process of manipulation that just make them keep the power, something like that. So in one word, yes, maybe they are free in some kind of ways, but they still being just fucked by the same things that we are facing. I think that one of the key issues is that we are not connecting each other necessities with what we can do to help them, because everybody is trying to fix and live their own lives. So it's awful. It's awful to see the different disconnections and not being capable to connect with them, like as a tourist or everything. Even when you are a Venezuelan and you are traveling to, let's say, a little town in the inside of the country, it's kind of awful because they see that you are coming from there and this guy, the Caraqueños.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's the same country, the same people that are under the same rule. It's the Willie Lynch playbook all over again. If you've ever read the I think it's the Diary of Willie Lynch, but basically Willie Lynch is one of the original slave masters in the Caribbean that wrote a book on exactly how to separate people, to separate them by class, separate them by location, and have them not like each other, have them look at each other as enemies so that they could never connect and actually be productive, or even realize that, there's actually one ruling regime that's over them all. They don't even see it because they're fighting each other so often. It's a very old playbook that still is effective to this day, unfortunately. What do you think that we could do? And I say we as a general, gente, the global we, um, to to move the needle or to make things a little bit better for us in the long term. Because, like you said, there's not much that Bitcoin can do or people can do to stop the current regime from what it's doing. But how can we rely less on the regime, and how can we rely less on governments in general, and how does that translate to what you're doing right now with people trying to connect from different cities and have them talk to each other and see that there's a better way or a future with Bitcoin?
It's a thought question, because that's what we are trying to do, like how we can get beyond what the regime can do to our reality, how we can just ignore them. Like, I think that the majority of the people simply is ignoring the fact that we are living through a regime, and we are not having any political freedom at all. And the relief that I've been mentioning a lot in the episode about as an effect of the dollarization is also linked to this idea of just ignoring the politics. And I think that this is a common thing that is happening around the world, not just here in Venezuela. We are just doing this because we want to live. Like, I can summon my life to a political change because I'm a human being. I will die sooner than the political change will have an impact in the history of the country. I won't last to see the history of the country. So as a human rational being, I'm just ignoring politics. I'm just not like helping them to get the crypto narrative and things that they are trying to do. I'm not helping and not engaging with them. I'm just trying to do myself and trying to help the people that I can connect with. But it's difficult in general, because you know that you are going to live in that same order of things at the political level, and that there will be not big change in the things that are happening to the economy and all that stuff. But just think on this: the oil skyrockets to $120 each barrel. But the corruption here is the same. The people that robbed the last bull run that the oil had is the same. We have a lot of debts. The economy is almost in the hands of Russia and China. So
Because of
they
that,
are not.
like, you guys owe them a lot of money. Okay.
Yes. So they are not that a scenario where things are going to be better if we are living through the same political sign, but we are ignoring that reality. And I think that's the only way. So I try to avoid the political conversation, because everybody knows my position. Everybody knows that I hate the Chavismo. They don't try to connect with me because they know that I hate them. So, but there are people that are trying to be like more chameleonic. I don't know how to explain, like to
No, you're right.
work
Like
with everybody.
in disguise, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, they say in America. Yeah.
Exactly. And those are kind of ways that people are trying to face this political reality. And in the end, and like what we can do as a community was just like have the answers to the people that have the questions. That's the key thing that we can do. If you want to know about Bitcoin, I have to be prepared to share the things that I know that are useful to the people that want to know and want to learn in a long-term way. But there are not that much things to do because there's the other path. Let's say that we start a political Bitcoin party.
Yeah.
We are going to be in jail as soon as we start to do some noise. So it doesn't have any kind of sense.
You see what
we are
happened
doing
in Cuba,
a political war.
You see what happened in Hong Kong. You see, I mean, it happens everywhere. You start something new, they're gonna just lock you up.
And we are doing a political job in some kind of way, making the freedom ideas to come to the conversation and this kind of stuff. But it is not to engage in the political game. We are trying to really opt out. Like I said, I'm not living through the disaster because I opted out a few years ago.
Yeah.
I could see things that people that is not in the Bitcoin mindset, because it is not only the holding and the technology, it is the ideas that Bitcoin brings to your tools, your knowledge tools. I don't know, like you have a lot of different things to see in the world. So that's useful, and it's useful, and people could learn more about like how to become a powerful movement or something like that. But that's not the idea. We're not engaging in the regime game. Like they hold the power, they have the means to minimize our voices, but we are going through another way of another path, like sharing the knowledge about Bitcoin. I'm trying to create these activities again, like meeting people, connecting with people that have similar ideas, and that's it. That's what we can do. Like everybody have to choose their own battles. Like we have a big world battle. Like it seems like we are going to lose them to the status quo and something like that. We have a little battle in the country that we are losing, but we have our inner battle. Like I choose to not to engage in the game. I choose to build the answers, like understand why Bitcoin is important and not being an asshole, like yelling everybody why it is important, just answering those that want to know. Like that's it. Like everybody wants to live through their own cheat coin stuff or simply hate the Bitcoin, and they are critics, and they mainly are economists that hate Bitcoin here in Venezuela.
Classical,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's good. Okay, you hate Bitcoin. Okay, I will not engage in that kind of fight because it is a waste of time, and I want to earn my sats. I want to share with others. That's it.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. Just focus on the education, focus on what people want to know, and that's our greatest weapon. Against what seems like an undefeatable situation. I think the only weapon we do have is patience and education, low time preference. Even though I love what you said earlier, where we have to continue to think about what is the high time preference solution for people who Bitcoin is not helping today, but at the same time continue our education and pushing it to people who want to know, who are coming to you and asking the question. That's so important. So, man, there's so many more questions I want to ask, but I'll cut it down to two more things, which is one, what is your favorite music or your favorite local songs or artists because I usually play a song at the beginning of every episode, and I would love to know what song you would want to play for your episode.
You have the dreads of my favorite, that is Bob Marley. I'm a Bob Marley lover. We have a really great reggae. Well, we had because of the fucking regime. People left the country, but we had a really big reggae scene here in Caracas.
Oh, nice.
We had festivals and stuff like that, and we have a really great ska reggae band that is named La Big Landing Orquesta.
Oh, la what? La Big Landing?
La Big Landing. Like landing, but without the G. Landing, the
Okay.
Big Landing Orquesta. That is a ska reggae great band, local band, and I really love Bob Marley. Like I I could listen to the older versions of Bob Marley original songs, and also to new remixes of different artists, and the message still hitting like
Yep. Pure
like,
message,
I don't
pure
know,
signal.
like, yes, totally.
Cool,
And
man.
it is still working to us. Like I don't see like Rastafaris and Bitcoiners are similar, but we as humans has this necessity of freedom, like the freedom fighting.
Yeah, that's all we sing about is freedom and realizing your power, like your individual power within you. I is like I, me. Like what is the individual power I can have and change for myself? So I love that. I love that that's your favorite music. The other question, or I guess it's a statement or a chance for you to just say what you think you'd want people out there that are listening, whether it's from Venezuela, America, Jamaica, what do you want them to know? And, what advice would you have for them?
Well, first of all, that see this disaster that is really touching to talk about like a mirror, because it is not a Venezuelan issue. It is a systemical issue of the fiat current system that we are living through. So it could happen in any other country in the world, even in the US. So as a citizens, we are really tiny against the state, against the politicians and all this stuff. But if you find a group of tiny citizens that have similar ideas, you can build something that it doesn't have to rely on those big games and all the stuff. So you have this kind of opportunity to see the things that gave us that lead us to what we are living today in Venezuela. And as far as you start to see them, start to move your arts because it could happen in any other place. So be vigilant and also open to use things like Bitcoin as way to avoid them. Yes.
I agree. Coming to a country near you, unless you decide to opt out, opting out is the best solution, and building something parallel is a good advice. Very good advice, man. Yo, Javi, this has been a great conversation, man. I really appreciate you coming on. We should do this again. I do want to do multiple episodes with people once I get going. So I appreciate it, man. If you have anything else to say, let people know where to reach you. Let them know about your shows, your meetups, show some shit.
Well, thank you. And you can find the show that I co-host with Camila Campton in the Swan Bitcoin YouTube channel. I'm also have a Bitcoin podcast that is mainly in Spanish, but you can find some episodes like with Sailor, with Adam Back, with Odell that are in English, obviously. So you can find it as Hablemos de Bitcoin, like let's talk Bitcoin, but in Spanish. And it will be really awesome if you follow the Satoshi in Venezuela account that is Satoshi VZLA. Satoshi En VZLA. That is Satoshi in Venezuela. It is
The
in
show notes too.
it is in Spanish, and well, thanks a lot for having me. I'm really happy to share this with you, and also will be really great to do this again, but with more happy and positive news to the people that is living in this beautiful country.
Well said, man. Muchas gracias por tu tiempo, mi hermano. Hope I said that correctly. All right, Javi, take care, man. Ciao.
Bye.